Welcome back, everyone, for today's video. Today I'm going to be going over the third round of the August Action Chess Championship held here at Chess Zone. Now, my score as of right now is 1.5 out of 2, and in the third round I was paired against Daniel Felix, rated 1930. So this is going to be quite a challenging game as he is rated 160 points higher, but nonetheless, it was still quite a game. So let's get straight into the action. So I open the game with e4, and Daniel replies with e5, knight f3, knight c6, and I play my classic Scotch game. And after he takes, I don't take back. I'm a seasoned Scotch Gambit player, so I play the move bishop to c4, initiating the Scotch Gambit. Now, black can play a lot of things here. The most common reply, though, is knight f6, which is what my opponent does. Next, I play the move e5, and it's theory to go d5 to counterattack the bishop and also control some center space. So after bishop to b5, I'm threatening to gain the pawn back on d4, and the knight is hanging. So knight e4, I grab the pawn back, and I was 100% expecting the move bishop to d7, which is by far the most common move in this opening, basically unpinning the knight and threatening to take the pawn, and usually white takes the knight on c6 with the bishop and castles, and this is all pretty theoretical. Instead, my opponent shocks me with the book move, bishop to c5. And frankly, I've never seen this played either online or over the board. And when I saw this, I was very surprised. So, at first glance, it looks like it just blunders a bunch of material. If knight takes, pawn takes, bishop takes, and you get a fork on the king, the rook. So, how is black not lost here? Well, black can play bishop takes f2 check, king f1, and even take the knight here. Perfectly fine. King f8. You can grab the rook, but then bishop a6 comes, and your king is caught in the crossfires of the two bishops and the knight. Additionally, black can even throw in this move queen h4, totally ignoring capturing your knight. And let's say you move the knight to give a discovered check like this. Black can slide the king to, not there. Black can play c6. And after you, let's say you take the bishop, rook takes c8, bishop e2. Despite the fact that you're up 3 points of material, your king is very vulnerable, and black has total control over the dark squares. So move like bishop b6. And already mate is very hard to stop. Only move basically is queen e1, but then black can just repeat the position with bishop f2, you save your queen, and we get into the same position, and it will result in a threefold repetition. So this is obviously total chaos in the position, and I did not want to enter something this wild. So just scroll back here to bishop c5. Alright, bishop c5. So I play sort of a safe move. I play the move castles, which apparently is book move. And I trusted that my opponent was not bluffing here. So my opponent castled himself, and now I decided to take the knight on c6 because I was confident that this time there are no crazy tactics, and I'm just winning a pawn straight out. But the computer does not like this approach. Oh, sorry about that. So after bishop c5 and taking the knight on c6, takes, and I thought I was getting a pawn here with bishop c6, and I was totally expecting the rook to move, but instead my opponent shocked me with bishop to a6, which is, there's a lot of pandemonium happening in the position here right now. A lot of things are hanging, a lot of things are being attacked. So I was thinking about taking the rook on a8, but then after bishop f1, king f1, and apparently there's this move queen h4, and you can take the bishop later. First you have to defend mate. After rook takes a8, this position is wild. White is up a pawn, but their king is in dire straits, and they need to play accurately and carefully just to come out in a non-losing position. So let me just go back here. I instead played the move queen takes d5, which is an inaccuracy because it allows black to get an exchange, but in compensation, I would get 2 pawns and a minor piece for the rook that black gets. So my opponent grabbed the rook on f1. I take the knight on e4, and Daniel Felix plays the move bishop to b5. Brilliant move. Point is that the rook is not hanging because of back rank mate on d1, and if I were to take this bishop, then this is leading to disaster. After queen to d1 check, bishop f1, queen c1, white is totally pinned on the back rank, cannot develop, and black is threatening to take the pawn on b2, and black is just crushing here. So I evaluated that this wouldn't be good for me. So after bishop b5, I played this move knight c3, basically protecting everything, protecting the d1 square, my bishop's defended, and attacking the black's bishop at the same time. So after bishop takes c6, queen takes c6, Daniel Felix chose to play the move bishop to d4, attacking my knight and my pawn. I decided to play the move bishop f4, defending my pawn in the center, and he actually took the knight on c3. I take with the queen to keep my pawn structure intact. And yeah, as I said before, I'm down in exchange, but I have 2 pawns in compensation. So here Daniel played the move rook b8, and I played rook e1, just sort of developing our pieces. Rook b6, bishop e3, attacking the rook. And after the move rook to g6, I thought for a few minutes about what to do here. Maybe to create a luft for the king, but then queen d5 is a problem because of checkmate threatened on g2. So I saw that black had some pressure on building on the king side. But I did see that I could hinder those responses with the move of my own. So if black were to ever threaten checkmate on g2, I would have a reply to refute black's plan. And also, black seemingly hung the pawn on a7, which means that bishop takes a7, right? I win a free pawn. And the next move here totally shocked me because I missed it entirely and I just lose material. Black played the move queen a8, and I think you guys are seeing the problem here. That pawn was poisoned because, number one, the queen attacks the bishop, but more importantly, the queen also attacks the g2 pawn, which means that I can't defend both my bishop and checkmate on g2. And I was pretty upset that I didn't see this move. You wouldn't normally think of queen moving all the way to the corner like that. It's not usually on your radar. So I have to part ways with my bishop. I should have not grabbed that pawn. So I played g3. Obviously, he takes the bishop, a3. I mean, I have some compensation, 3 pawns for the rook, but it's not nearly enough. A rook in this position will dominate. So rook e8, Daniel's playing this pretty effortlessly. Rook e4, rook e6, rook e3, f6, queen c4, pinning the rook, so I don't lose a pawn right away. He took, I took, and Daniel simply, after queen b6 and king g2, he slid his king to h8, and the rook is no longer pinned. So after king h8, I try to avoid a queen trade on c6 by playing rook to c5. And after the move queen to b7 check, I realize here that even though I don't want to, trading queens is my best attempt to not lose right away. Because if I go king h3, that just looks really idiotic. Rook h6 check, and my king is basically getting mated. Similarly, if I go f3, then I open this rank for attack. So I have to offer a queen trade, even though it's against my will. So after queen d5, he obviously takes, I take back. Rook to c6, c3, rook b6, rook d7. I'm trying to go for some sort of counterplay. I mean, black is totally winning, so they can basically do anything practical, sensible. Don't need to get too complicated. He simply defends the pawn. I go rook d2, king g8, f4, king f7. I try to bring my king up with king f3, king e6, king e4, rook c to b8, b4, rook a6, attacking my pawn. I first throw in this little check, king e7, rook to d5. I realized that there was really no point of going here because black can just go here and my pawn would perish anyway. So I tried to play a bit more actively with rook d5, let him take, and then go rook c5, so at least he has a weakness that he has to look after. So king d6, check, king c6, I throw in another check, so the king can go to b6. Oh, sorry. Yeah, so we went to b6, king d5, rook d8 check, king e6. I'm trying to get closer to the black pawns and maybe create a passed pawn of my own on the king side. Rook a2, king f7, rook d7, king e8. I'm attacking the rook. Rook d6, I attack the pawn again, hoping for some sort of draw with rook d7, in which case we'd repeat the position twice. But instead he played the move g6, and after I take and he takes back, I played the move h4, rook f2 check, king g7, rook f3, g4. I'm trying to create some sort of passed pawn, maybe to distract the rooks a little bit. Rook h3, h5, take, rook d to d3, rook to g5, rook c3. I have a passed pawn, but it's not going to be enough because after these following moves, rook c to g3, my last major piece is traded off. And sure, I have a passed pawn, but black is basically going to sack the rook for the pawn, take my b4 pawn, and promote the c pawn into a queen, and I have no hope of making a comeback. So after king takes b4, I officially resigned the game here because, as I said, yeah, this is totally hopeless. The rook will sack for the pawn, and the c pawn will just be unstoppable. So with that, we lose the third game of the tournament, and yeah, we have a score of 1.5 out of 3. So I was a little bit disappointed that I didn't see queen a8, and I should have justified why my opponent hung the pawn on so-called hung the pawn on a7, maybe looking for hidden tricks in the position, and I just should have been on guard a bit more. So with that, I'm not too upset on the other hand because he was significantly higher rated, and I'm not losing much. I'm not losing much basically, and there's still one more game to go, and maybe I'll win the last one and have an over 50% win rate. So with that, I'm gonna wrap up this recap by saying thank you guys for watching. Leave a comment and let me know what you thought of the video. Don't forget to smash that subscribe button below, and stay tuned for the last recap of the tournament. Bye.